Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of Island Stats and Sports Inside Out as we remember the one and only, the late Paul Silas. I'm your host, Earl Pearson, and joining me is Coach Hatcher, as well as Emmett Bryant, as well as we have Wally Jones, who is on the line as well. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about a man who has done so much for the sport of basketball and many others in the sport. Coach, let me first ask you, Paul Silas, what does this man mean to basketball?
Sound giant. He was a force behind the force. He was also one of the greatest six men in the basketball. He had a very, very, very fantastic career, not just in the NBA, but one of the greatest, I would say, franchises in the league. One of the cornerstones, the Boston Celtics. So he's seen so much, and he came in as my special guest to here today with me and Wally, one of the great guards in the league, and personified with the same stature of defense, all around play, a person that never had a negative contribution to a team. He was also known as someone that's always a plus. I guess that's because of that Boston legacy. But with Paul is something to really be admired. Last time I actually was able, me and Wally, I think when we really got a chance to get together was after Katrina in the All-Star game in New Orleans. And that was a great time for the legend to get back on. But he was something to be admired and very respectful. I didn't know him as close as Wally and Emmett, but the times I spoke to him and knew him, he was a class act and epitome of the legends of sports. But Wally, I think the best thing is you leading into your remembrance of the great one, and then coming in with one of the greats, Emmett Bryant.
Well, really, it's a pleasure for me to be on today with a heavy heart. I knew Paul Silas at Creighton High School, Creighton University, right. And we were in the Catholic All-Americans during that year. 16 years that he played, 5 with St. Louis, Atlanta, 3 with Phoenix, and the rest with Boston. But I saw on my records that he played for Denver and 3 years with Seattle. But before I go any further, I want to ask Emmett, and he may have a better connection with him in reference to playing with the Boston Celtics. Emmett, could you speak on that?
How he affected the Boston Celtics as being the sixth man?
Yeah,
well, he embodied that. He really made being the sixth man something special. And I don't know why people tend to think that Paul couldn't shoot because, he never had to beyond 6 or 8 feet around the hoop. He was tough, but he could shoot the ball. And he was always very dependable. That's what I remember about him.
No.
Whenever we needed, whatever we needed, Paul would play. He could play guard to guard. He could guard the forward. He could guard to center. He could also play all those various positions. And he was very good on assists, passing the ball, knowing where the ball should go on that second pass.
What year was that, Emmett? I can't recall the year. A senior moment. What year was that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The year in reference to Boston when you were on the team, what year was that?
Oh, I was there from 60 7 through 70.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you guys are on some of those championship year. What are you talking about? I know you're on a championship team.
Yeah. I was on a couple of them.
Yeah. I remember one thing. Wow, hey, Emmett, I can tell you this. Freddie Crawford told me to tell you something special today. He's going to never forgive you for hitting 24 points on him to eliminate the Lakers from the playoffs. He said they never forgave you for that 24-point performance that beat them out the playoffs, because he said you have been the last one to take all them shots.
That was the Boston way, though.
Evan and I go back when I was at Villanova. We played against each other when he was at DePaul.
Yeah.
And I look at the years back of just competing against him, one of the all-around guards himself in the league. But one of the things, and talking about Paul Silas, there were times that I had an opportunity to really spend some time with him out in Seattle. And I talk about the time that players would go to cities and we get a chance to go out to dinner with them, get a chance to meet their families there. But we always used to kid around with him and call him Squirrel, because when he ate his food, he kept the food in his jaws. So we used to kid around and call him Squirrel. But a very powerful man in reference to his beliefs, and something that I really respected about him, about how he rebounded. How he was one of the greatest offensive rebounders in the game. That's something that I recall. Emmett, I'm sure you can speak more on it since you had a chance to play at Boston with him.
Yeah, he would get the ball up on the backboard and tap it around and keep his man from getting it until he got a chance to either put it in the hoop or tap it out to one of the shooters standing out there on their spot.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bryant, let me ask you, when Paul Silas would have come to Boston, what was he like as a teammate, or getting to know the players who had already settled in there?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Oh, he didn't have a big head or anything, and he wasn't very vocal. He led by performance. You'd be embarrassed that this guy, this 6'8", 225 man running, beating you up and down the court. And because you had to run lines back in those days. We'd do exercises and we divide up into teams, and the team that lost the shooting match or the dribble relay match would have to run lines, the half court and back, full court, back, down line, back, et cetera. So we always tried to get Paul on our side because he excelled. He never let up. He excelled in those drills. I mean, people think Paul couldn't shoot, but Paul was a very good shooter. He just didn't shoot beyond the foul line or beyond. But he was very good. In fact, his college stats would bear that out.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah, I wanted to speak about some of his things that he did, because, the year that he played in Phoenix, he was averaging 17.5 a game. There was a year that he was with Boston where he was at 13, 10, 11 points a game. But one of the things that I look at in his statistics, because I have the all-time player directory, him averaging almost double-figure rebounds almost his career. And another thing, Emmett, I look at 16 seasons, he averaged almost 78 games. So he played almost every game for 16 years. And I see that right here in the directory, the NBA all-time player directory of all the games that he played in. So he was very consistent in playing basketball throughout his career.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember when he missed a game because of injury, but I can remember some of the guys he played against missed the game because of injury. He put the lumber on them.
Yeah.
So Wally, being that you know quite a bit about Mr. Silas, did you see a transformation of player to coach while he was playing? Because some people you see that in. You see as they're getting near the end of their career, they start to look to see that transformation comes a natural one. So Wally, did you see that in Paul Silas?
Yeah, one of the things that you see, he played on. And see, that's what I look at ball players. So you take so much when he began coaching, because I know he played. I mean, when you talk about the Boston Celtics, their type of play, I admired them so much. When I was in college, I asked my coach Jack Kraft, because we wear black sneaks. One of the things I admired was the way he handled men.
Yeah.
The way he controlled, the way he talked to men. And it shows the same thing with his son, because he has a tough job in Houston with those young players, but he's cultivating another culture there in Houston. His son is. But I've watched him as a coach, and I could see that he had taken so much from the coaches before him, and what he's allowed him to be one of the good coaches in the NBA history.
No.
I could see that in him being a coach.
No. Wally, one thing that I do appreciate was the thing that Red Auerbach was talking about, that any mainstay of the Boston Celtics at any given time could be able to coach in the NBA. Now, that might be a off-plated remark, but if we look at what's going on with the Boston Celtics legacy, almost every major ball player that they Auerbach coached or was a part of the Boston organization to that say was able to communicate and work the team concept and motivational skills that Auerbach preached on so much. Defense will make the offense, and offense will make the defense better. That's the opposite way they thought, but he did very well at it. Look at everybody that coached that came out of that Celtic regime. They had that same philosophy and has had same work hard ethic that was in there, because they really communicated with the ball players. I guess, Emmett, you can attest to this thing. He said he let y'all know and work within your capabilities of his office, so y'all had a job description and didn't have to worry about too much beyond.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was a fantastic way, and I tried to do the best I could when I was in Europe. But hey, communication, Wally, you know that of anything, because your communication skills on the court, like Emmett was, your thing was communication. Everybody respected and knew exactly what you were going to do within a given sphere of it, because they trusted your judgment, even though it was a back-to-hand pass or back pass or backdoor pass, because you had communicated more or less and knew the limitations and things each player could do. So that court awareness and court IQ was something that I hate to go back, we might as well say the legends. We were very, very acute in knowing our IQ and what we could do within the limitations that we have and what we did. So everybody exasperated the skills more,
Yeah, well, it had to be that way, because Emmett and I were point guard.
Yeah, that's right. And listen,
and quarterback.
That's absolutely. And while they couldn't see for a motive thing, because y'all brought the lunch to the team. The team didn't bring the lunch to y'all.
So, Mr. Brandt, what was training like amongst when you guys were with the Celtics? The practice sessions, preseason stuff like that. Was it a lot of competition amongst you all to see who was getting those starting spots and making sure that the guys that were on the bench knew that the reasons why they were on the bench and what they needed to do?
Well, the training aspect was gruesome. I mean, a lot of guys dropped out during training because we had to do 5 and 10 mile runs. They call them sprints. They were runs to me. And then we'd run around the block several times, run inside the gym. Then we would run lines, half court and back, full court and back, forward and backwards. And this is all before you even shoot around and warm up. That was our warm up. So a lot of guys just gave up before we even began the 2-line drill, to shoot the layups, to start the scrimmage, So they got rid of them quickly, and then the rest of us settled in for the long haul, and we began to run the offense forward, backwards. Guards would run it from the forward position. Forwards would play the guard position. Once in a while, the guard would slip in and play the center position, and the forward and the center would play the guard and forward position till you knew it inside and out.
Wow.
And no matter when a play was called or what position you were caught in when that play was called, you knew how to run the play the same way, even if it was from a different position.
Sure. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more about remembering the NBA legend, Paul Silas. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Coach, Wally had said something about how Coach Paul Silas handled men, spoke to men. Is that unique in people that want to progress to become a leader? Because a coach is a leader, a captain is a leader. Is that unique in people like that?
Well, the thing that's very, very interesting, good basketball players sometimes can make the worst coaches. But you have to have a ball player that knows the game, been experienced with the game. Now they do make the best coaches in that degree. So you got two philosophies of the best. But the one thing that a good coach does is pick up all the great things from coaches before, and that was Ray Scott. Good example, tremendous good example. And what I did when I started coaching, when I stopped professional basketball in Europe, was that you got to know people. You can't talk at a professional ball player. And some coaches who have problems, and I think Wally can attest to this and Emmett as well, some coaches have a knack of talking at a ball player who's a grown man that's been playing it all his life, has an ego, and has a situation that's made him what he is, because you can't be successful without an ego. But it takes a communicator. A good coach is a manager of men and their possibilities and capabilities. That's the best thing that a coach can be. You cannot tell Wally Jones or Emmett Bryant how to play. And that is one thing that a lot of coaches start breaking these ball players down as if they're in high school. Then you got a real problem because all of the egos start flying up. So a good communicator is what he calls to be a coach, because then he becomes a manager of talent. That is one of the key things that the great coaches did. They were managers of talent. They knew what player could fit a situation at a given moment to get the desired effect or desired consequence of what he's doing. So therefore, he had to know what Emmett Bryant was good at and what Emmett would need help with, how much help he would need. And then you look at a guy like Wally, you sign, well, Wally, you may have to flip on a 1-2 defense situation to take them off set, and Wally's capable of doing. But you do one thing, trust, and must have a point guard that's able to put your philosophy in every guys on the court, but put your philosophy on the court. That's why it is important, because his philosophy is your point guard. Therefore, if you got a good point guard, that philosophy is going to do it. You're going to have a good team. Yeah.
Sure. And Mr. Bryant, let me ask you, because that's a valid point. When you were a player.
Hold up, Wally. Hold up. What you say?
I'm sorry. Let me let Wally go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking of the coach, you're the extension of the coach on the court. I mean, I look at their tree, Bill Sharman, Tommy Heinsohn, KC, even Satch coach in college. There's so many of the tree of the Boston Celtics that had an opportunity to coach, but you take a philosophy where you give your ball players confidence to do what they do best.
Right.
But I think that's one of the most powerful things that I think Paul had as a human being is communicating. Right. He had a personality. He had a demeanor about him that carried over to when he coached those other teams those years. So that's very important in any sport, communication.
And I do agree with that, Wally, because if the players don't have faith in you, real faith in you, and trust you at any particular situation that team is in, then you're not going to have a successful team.
Yeah. And that's what I was asking Mr. Bryant.
Emmett's on,
about the Celtics. Did you guys feel that way under your coach, that he allowed you to be the people you are, but still remain the person in charge?
Pretty much so. Yeah, they didn't want you trying to play outside of your game, and they knew what your game was when they brought you in. So if they brought you in for defense, they didn't want you thinking you were supposed to score 20 points a game just because you're playing for the Boston Celtics. You know, you're supposed to play defense and get the ball to the shooters.
Right.
And that was just the Celtic way.
Mm-hmm. Job description, Miro. That's what you have to have. If you have a job description on that team, like the Sixers and the Celtics had during the heydays, the real heydays of the league, if you had a job description, you stayed within that job description, because that's what's going to make your longevity on the team and also make the team what it's capable of being, because that's what a coach brought you for. Wally, I want you to play defense. Take pride. You're the best defensive ball player out here. Get him, Wally. Don't let that dude score nothing. But by the way, I need 20 points. So therefore, he had a mindset going on that team. The gentleman said, listen, I want you to rip Sam Jones's wrist to pieces. Don't let him do nothing. And that's exactly what Wally would do. You had scratches to the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. So therefore,
the whole thing is accountability.
Accountability, right.
And Emmett said it, because you have a job description.
Yeah, that's right.
I know when he did score those points, we weren't scoring. We were playmakers and defense.
Right.
But one of the things that our coach told us, we got to open shot, take it. So those opportunities come about where you're, as a professional, you're supposed to adjust your game situation. But I watched Paul coach for years, and I just respected what he got out of his ball players. Because a lot of times he didn't have all the team that he coached.
Right.
But what I liked about it is you got the most out of what you had.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I respected Paul Silas for.
Right. Leave it on the court.
Great job.
So Coach, knowing this man and what he was able to do for not only for his career, but others when he was coaching, starting off careers, making sure that the young people understood what they were getting themselves into in the professional sport of the NBA and what people like Mr. Bryant and others before these youngsters were able to do to make the sport what it is today. How do you think he was able to translate that message to these young people?
Basketball IQ. You know, that's the apex of anything. You could be one of the greatest ball players in the world or coaches in the world, prospectively coaches in the world, Earl and our listeners. And Emmett would know if you don't have an IQ, and that's an odd thing. They say, well, you don't need an IQ for basketball. Are you out of your mind? If you don't know how to control the IQ of your game to the game of basketball, that's really called basketballology.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called. It's basketballology. That's what I was told it was. Hey, listen, it's science. You got to be able to create your game to create a niche for yourself that you can expand on that niche to make sure the situation that you're involved with on the court that you specialize in will make the team successful, and you will garner the same aspect of what Tim Reed says, the engine, but the caboose go to the same place as the engine. So therefore, you got something that's almost of the essence to basketball, which we don't have much now. Emmy can say, I mean, there is no IQ. There is no basketballology in today's basketball that the legends made it to what it is today because it's a me and it's this and always their bottom line of every game is what I did, not what the team did. And everything you hear of interview, they say the Boston Celtics team. I'm happy to be a part of the Boston Celtics team. That's the legacy of Emmett and the Boston legacy and all the guys. Wally, the same thing. We were the greatest team. Not I was the greatest basketball player on the team. Now, what you have now today is what Wally and all of us now really, and you may not hold it back, but I don't hold it back. I can say one thing. What you have today are a bunch of Harlem Globetrotters of today on the NBA because everybody is trying to out-trick, out-jump, out-shoot without anything being done for the team.
Well, it's a different game.
Different game altogether. Different game
altogether.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but they got some savants in this game today. They got some ball players who can play it.
They can play it if they had the right situation. Yeah. Just think about that situation, Wally. If those same talented guys was coming along just after you and Emmett, Paul, and all the guys that made the legacy of what it is now, think about it. If they came as close to that legacy that y'all had, you'll see a brand new and a different LeBron James, Steph Curry, all these guys that's really trying to do these things that's really out the box for the game to a degree, unless you want to see entertainment. But it's a different game. Yeah.
Entertaining now.
It's entertainment.
Different game.
Different game altogether. Yeah.
So becoming a unit, and this is to Mr. Bryant, and also to you, Wally. Becoming a team, becoming a unit. What were the things that you guys done off the court that made that on the court unit stronger?
Yeah. That's good. Good question.
What was your question?
What was off the court, Wally, that made y'all more impactful to the game than what they see on the court? What did y'all do with the team together off the court that made it what it is?
Well, it's a different era again, just like we're doing the civil rights era.
Right.
We're doing an era where there's so many things politically that was happening in our society. It really hasn't changed that much at all. When you talk about Kaepernick with this figure out police brutality, but in reference to our team, I can't speak about other teams, but we were in the community.
Right.
And all the way down to Billy Cunningham, Chet. we were in the community trying to help with the problems that we had in Philadelphia, which is unfortunately gangs. I'm sure as Emmett could speak on, the same thing is happening today. We have senseless killings in Philadelphia, and we're trying to silence the violence. As simple as that, we're utilizing all the legends in Philly, and we did that when we were playing during our golden age of basketball. With Wilt and Russell and guys like that. You're talking that era. They were conscious. They had a civic consciousness, and I like what the players are doing today with their foundation. They're speaking out about the things that are happening, the inequality in our society. So I'm very happy about they're using that platform to really speak out about the inequalities in our society.
Yeah, the few that are doing it. I wish it could be more.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
Yeah,
It's quite a bit
yeah.
of it.
One thing I do know is that in the days of Emmett and Wally and us that went into what we call the Rucker tournament, all those things, to try to get involved, which I was extremely fortunate enough when I was in high school to be a part of Rucker High School, be able to sit there with the likes of the brothers that I knew were kings and monster teachers of the game. These guys were impeccable as far as what they did for the community. But in the summer, we worked with kids. It was no such thing, and particularly like in the Baker League or the Rucker League, it was about the youth, you know, and getting the guys out there to make sure their brand for professional basketball or their imagery was in too. You won't see a Emmett Bryant in Chicago not talking or being involved in clinics and kids and try to do the best he can. Now you don't find too many clinics like you used to. You find a lot of guys that's doing clinics and you never see the guy on the court. But it is possible, and still that we always talk about this, that the legends are the one that can make things happen with the youth and the world today, because when legends speak, people listen. Once they do have, we have been there. We've seen a thing or two, and we know what it is to be a branded popular legend or basketball player today. It's a monumental responsibility. Wally talks about it all the time. It takes teamwork to make a dream work, but it takes teamwork to make a dream work off the court as well. And that's what legends are good for, because they were raised in a team concept, and they know what to do.
Emmett, I bet you know what Emmett's doing.
Yeah, what you doing there in Chicago? Yeah.
Chicago,
Emmett.
Trying to stay safe from this COVID thing. No, on the for real side, I get out to the local gym.
We have a chapter here in Miami. There's chapters in Dallas, Chicago, Vegas, all over.
Yeah.
And a lot of legends that are from our era are still doing some tremendous things to reaching back. And I have to speak for a guy like Lamar Green, Irv Thomas here, Scottie Pippen's in our thing, Roy Henson, Tim Hardaway. A lot of people that live in Florida are really part of our chapter. So I was just wondering what was happening in Chicago, because Bobby Hunter tells me he's been up there trying to do some things with Greg Hodges. And that's why I was speaking on that.
Okay, I'm not aware of what Bobby and Greg were doing, but they know when time comes to just give me a call, and I'll come pitch in. You know, my 2 cents for whatever it's worth.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more remembering NBA legend Paul Silas. We'll be right back.
Okay. All right.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
That's right downtown.
And welcome back. Welcome back. Well, Mr. Bryant, when you talk about someone like Paul Silas, what's one of the first things comes to your mind when remembering how he was as not only a teammate but as a player and as a coach, as you watched him as a coach?
Effort, selfless effort, going out working hard every night, every minute he was out on the court, determined that every ball that went up, every shot was his. He was just claiming it, and then working to make that happen.
Yeah, and Wally, just hearing Mr. Bryant talk like that about Paul Silas, was that something you would agree to, attest to?
Oh, of course. The key word he said was the real. I'll give you a word: relentless.
Yeah.
I mean, this man he went after the ball, just like Emmett said. Anything that went up on it, he's going to get it. But I just like the way he played in a powerful way, but in a quiet way. He wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't remember him saying a whole lot.
Didn't talk much at all. Yeah.
He would be out there just banging. See, I'm old school. When you see a guy, a warrior like him, you want somebody on your team.
Amen.
Bang.
Amen.
You want a guy like him, and we're gonna miss him. It's just so much truly other than basketball that I want people to hear, Earl, that he's a great man. He's a great family man, and a great communicator.
Yeah. So Coach, what would be a standout for you with Paul Silas?
Paul Silas, communicator. He was solid communicator. He said what he wanted to say. His nay was his nay, and his yay was his yay. And he would stand behind his word. Like, if he tell you he was going to do something for you, it would be done. If not, he would give you a good leeway to not expect how or why he didn't do it, but the effort was there. The trust factor for Paul Silas was always there. He may not have been appreciated with some of the franchises like he was in coaching with some of them, but everybody who knew the game, such as what Emmett was talking and Wally does say, anybody who knows the game and knows about Paul Silas, his teams played to the utmost of their capabilities because they were playing for not just the pride of the game, for who was assigning the paycheck. He made sure everybody gave the effort because he'll put it in too. He will be the last one to leave the gym with everybody else. So I understand. So therefore, if you had more, oh my God, you can always say that, but it's not something that condescending to a lot of the coaches of today. But if you know the game and know the people who play the game and was a part of the game, then you would know how to appreciate a guy like Paul Silas, because a lot of his thing was he would lead by example of what he did and what his career meant to him. So if anybody to you says they never respected or doesn't like Paul Silas in his career or as a professional ball player, then what you do is need to call Eastern State, which is the biggest mental hospital. Hey, call Middle State. You got to coach him because he's one you always wanted on your team. Very similar to Emmett. I heard one thing that Freddie Crawford said, Wally. He said, now you talking Freddie, one of the greats of the greats out of New York, and of course the Lakers and whatever. Freddie said, you know what, man? This is the only guy, wherever he got in the game, you never had a negative. You had a positive. So, and that says a whole lot. The outside of him said he could deceivingly get you with his little Chicago moves, he said, but you had to respect him because he would actually say, I'm getting ready to shoot and shoot. So with that, you know that this guy is very, very informative and has a communication skill that not many coaches in the league. Only guy I can say that was close to him, Earl and Wally Popovich. He reminded me more of the type of coach that Paul was. No.
So, Mr. Bryant, let me ask you. Not every night everybody's going to be on. Somebody's going to have an off night here and there. What were some of the things you guys done as a team to make sure that that person was lifted for the next time you went out on the court? Because as we've all talked about, you were all a team. It wasn't an individual, it was a team. So what were some of the things you guys done, not necessarily the coaching staff, but as players, you guys done to make sure that if it weren't Emmett Bryant's night last night, Emmett Bryant's going to have a better night tonight?
We allowed that particular player that wasn't having a good night to decide that he wasn't having a good night, and he would try to up his game in another area.
Yeah.
Get more defense. I'm going to box out, get more boards, help out more on defense, make a good pass to somebody for a layup or an easy shot. And hopefully during the course of the game, his game would come back around to him. And once in a while, he'd take a shot, see how it felt. If it felt good, if it looked good, if he made it or not, then he'd know where he was in regard to getting his game back together.
And that is vital because as Coach Hatcher and Wally was talking about earlier, you might have had standout players on the team, but you always all talked about team. And as champions, you had to be a team to be champions back in the day. I mean, we notice how much the game has changed. Wally, you mentioned it, how much the game has changed, where you can get a unit of three players, 3-star players, and put up 2 other players around them, and that could be a championship team. However, back when you guys were playing, you really had to have 6 people, because that 6th person off the bench had to be almost a starter like material to actually be champions. Wouldn't you agree, Wally?
Well, I agree. You can hear what Emmett said. That is what basketball is. What he just said. You contribute whatever way you can. That's accountability. If you're not on, you do something else. But it's all the way down to the 12th man. See, the whole philosophy of the game is whenever anybody comes in the game, you want to feel confident that that professional athlete will help your team out in some way or another. And a good coach makes sure that you know your job responsibility to make sure you help your team win. Well put, Emmett. As a point guard, I agree with everything you said, brother. Everything you said.
Hey, Coach, those quarterbacks stick together, don't they?
Hey, listen, that's part of it. I want them to stick together. If I had 2 of them on the court right now, I could take them to France and make a brand new French national champion. So, it's nothing beats wisdom, Earl and fans. Wisdom and understanding of the game and yourself is what basketball is about. It's all in your head. It may be 75% of you believing in yourself and 25% of natural raw talent. If your mind is not acute to the type of player you want to be, forget it. And one thing we got to do.
I'll piggyback on that, Coach. Train your mind and
Right.
your body will follow.
There you go. Excellent one. Excellent one.
All right, brother.
There's your excellent.
Guys.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead, babe. All right.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about Wally. You said you had all of Paul's statistics, especially in college. What was some of the things that would have attracted a coach to want to draft him or get him into the NBA?
Well, I was a scout for 76ers for 5 years and 10 years for the Miami Heat. What you're looking at is what we talk about. A guy that can, his mental. Basketball player, sometimes I saw Magic Johnson when he was a freshman, and I told my sons he's going to be a great player. You can see when a fellow knows what's happening on the court, where to be, how to pass it, or to see. So when you talk about basketball players, it's not all physical, as I said, mental, to know how to play the game of basketball and play it right. The other skills that you have by shooting or the physicality, guys that could jump. There are guys that I've seen that could jump out of the gym and they learn to be great shooters, great passers, great all-around basketball players with some teaching and education and over the years practice to become an all-around player. So that was something I always look for when I did scouting for the Sixers and the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's I think everybody's on. Oh, Earl.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm sorry.
All right, yeah. I like to go with that also. Emmett can attest to it. It's also very, very to thrive and know your talent and your worth to the game or whichever you're playing for. It's really something that's very special. I'd rather have in coaching, yes, you want tremendous skills. You can have one good skill guy that could turn a game completely around. But if you don't have a guard or someone to be able to really be the coach on the court, as it's been designed to be for that team, then that talent could be more of a detriment than a advantage. So it is something that's very, very credible. I would have the guys who you remember that could control a team, do what's necessary to make a team, know the value of his worth to the team. 10 steals from a guy like Emmett and Wally, he creates 20 points. If you get a rebound and get it up into a fast break, the possibility of 60%, another set of points, then you are really doing the thing that can make up for so many scoring deficits by making off-score stats to make it worth. If you take a leading ball scorer and you're able to if he's a 30-pointer, you hold him to 20. If he's a 20-pointer, you either give him to 15. You've done your job. You've done your job. And a lot of ball players can't bend themselves down to be accountable for their skills because maybe some of them think they're better than what they are. A good ball player knows what he is, what he can do, and what he's capable of doing in a situation that he's called upon to do it. And the main thing is being able to listen. A lot of ball players don't listen.
Well, we're going to take our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the Remembering NBA Legend Paul Silas. But Mr. Bryan, I want you to think about this question during the commercial. When you have a rookie coming into a team back when you were playing, how was that rookie treated when he would first arrive? You can answer that when we get back. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Denver's putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. Well, Mr. Bryant, how were the rookies treated when they first arrived at a new team?
It depended upon their status when they came in as a rook, what their stats were in school, and how they wanted to accept what the vets were willing to give them in terms of their due. I mean, they had to earn respect, but still, the vets were tight back in those days, and no rookie was basically going to come in and take a job from one of their partners without them being able to help in some way to keep that guy bringing in the bacon, so to speak, for his family, So rookies, some just overcame it. That were just so good, they had to play. And slowly they were accepted. But for the most part, a lot of rookies never really met their abilities or potential because they were being held back by the fact that the veterans were looking out for the other veterans to make sure one of them didn't lose a position.
Sure. Well, I want to end this evening on Paul Silas by asking each and every one of you to just speak for a few minutes about what he meant to you personally, and just so people understand what this man really meant to not only the sport of basketball but to each and every one of you. So we'll start with you, Mr. Bryant.
Well, Paul inspired not only me, but all the guys on our team in terms of giving a second effort. Give it all you got and then give it more. And don't give up. Don't quit. Keep coming at them, And if somebody got a better shot than you, pass the ball. And not worry about not getting that stat as a plus for yourself. The main goal was winning the game. And Paul, that's what Paul was about. He wanted to win the games.
Coach?
Well, I think mine is a little bit in a different little swim lane. Is that I admired him because I took so much out of what he said. When we finally, Wally and I met him, well, we were in the lobby, I think, with JoJo White Emmett, when we were in New Orleans after the Katrina disaster and our first All-Star game to come back to get New Orleans on his feet. The first guy that was at the door when we came in with the Legends of Sports during that particular time was Paul Silas, talking to reporters and talking to some kids and talking to some soldiers. So he was always available to do something positive that made a difference to his brand and to the game. So you can always say that you never heard a bad word of, not saying everybody's human. I ain't gonna say that, but you never talked a bad word about a player on or a situation or another team on the court because he had the respect of his peers. And when you have that type of thing, it's contagious to enough that you're always going to be admired or admire a coach and a player like that, but also what he's meant to basketball and to legends off the field. He was truly, truly an ambassador of the game, not just in playing, but coaching and off the field, off the court as well.
Wally?
Well, I think it gets down to Emmett being here today and Coach and I. Emmett knows what it means as the NBA fraternity. But it's bigger than that because I was so happy to hear Emmett's voice today.
Yeah.
You know, we're chronologically gifted, and to hear my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the friendship just of Emmett and I, but Emmett can testify this. The thing that I have to say about Paul Silas is a brother.
Mm-hmm.
These are brothers to me.
Right.
That's family. That's
Right.
as simple as that. I can put it, Earl, Coach, Emmett, brother. We lost a brother, and he'll always be there with us. And I hope that people really recognize the fact of what he's done for the game of basketball throughout the years.
Earl, one thing I'd like to add to what Wally is saying, and to what legacy of Emmett as well. These guys are never gone as long as their names are mentioned in a positive and good way. So therefore, they are eternal legends as long as people can remember them for what they've done for them and what they've done for the game.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me this evening to talk about a man that I grew up watching late in his career as a player, and then getting to know as a coach, watching on television, and actually being at a Charlotte Hornet game that he coached at, and just getting a feel for what he was like, just hearing his voice and how he commanded the room. When I say the room, I'm talking about an arena.
Right.
As much noise as it was around the arena, you still heard Paul Silas's voice when he wanted to get a message to one of his players. So I want to thank you very much for this evening, and we'll end the night with just remembering Paul Silas. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Emmett, thank you so much, babe. All right.
Okay, fellas. God bless you.
God bless you. Yeah, and say hello to your beautiful wife for us, man. All right.
Take care, brother. Thanks for having me.